Welcome to your gentle session. Today's practice is all about you wrapping yourself up in a whole lot of TLC, leaning into everything that you're feeling and acknowledging that just as it is, giving yourself some space to process, to come back to center, and to be kind to yourself. Hope you enjoy. I've really deliberated over what I would offer in our practice today because I have been feeling all sorts of things. I'm sure you have too if you're in Victoria or if you're in Melbourne. And even if you're not, I think there's a lot of empathy and sadness around for what we as a species are experiencing right now. On Sunday, when the news of the restrictions continuing came out, I was really thrown. I think like a lot of people, I expected that after next weekend things would start to ease back to normal. Clearly that's not going to happen for a while. So I found a lot of anger and frustration and disappointment rising in me. I took it out on the garden, did a whole lot of weeding and stuff, and then I went to my yoga mat and did a really nourishing practice, and it's the practice that I did is a lot of what I'm going to offer today. So I'm going to let you know ahead of time that it's likely that this will go longer than a half an hour, our normal half-hour session. Might go a little longer than that. And I just wanted to take things really slowly and gently, so there's absolutely nothing tricky and complicated in this one at all, because I want to make this practice about uncovering the layers of stuff that we're holding and leaning into that stuff and giving ourselves permission to feel what we feel, and then perhaps shining a light on some other things that are sitting in our system as well that might hold us in a stronger stead. Anyway, if you have something you can support your knees with, whether that's a lounge cushion or maybe some blankets, that will be nice under your knees because we're going to start kneeling. And a bolster will be helpful towards the end of the practice as well. And actually, even in our kneeling position, a bolster would be good. If you've got a block, grab that. Otherwise, grab a little pillow. And we'll begin. So I'm going to just suggest, if you're feeling uncomfortable sitting in a kneeling position, you might like to put a bolster or a pillow between your buttocks and your ankles, and that can offer a little bit of support there if that feels better for you. Or if it's okay, you can just be right down in a normal kneeling position. So starting by closing your eyes or softening your gaze and just taking a moment now to arrive for your practice, settling in. Letting go of any distracting thoughts, concerns or to-do lists. Pressing the pause button on absolutely everything and giving yourself this time to be completely present for your practice, right here and right now. Taking one hand to the heart and one hand to your tummy now. Just being with that rise and fall in your breathing. Sensing into your own heart beating right now. And even tuning your senses into the sound of your breath as it moves in and out of the body. Aware too of the little pauses that naturally occur at the top of your inhalation and at the end of your exhalation. Tuning all your senses into the act of breathing, the sound of the breath, the feeling of the breath, even the temperature of the air as it moves in through your nose and out through your nose. And allowing the breath to just start to slow down a little. When you take your next inhalation, let's open the arms wide. And then bring the hands back in again. This time, let the other hand be higher. Opening the arms wide, breathing in. And as you're exhaling, bringing the hands back to the body, changing which hand is sitting higher. Continuing with this, moving at the pace of your breathing. All your senses tuned into the feeling of the breath, the sound of the breath, the texture of the breath. When you next breathe in, let's take the arms high. And as you exhale, let's reach out to the right side, holding here for a little bit. Let's think about drawing the left hip down and lifting the left ribs towards the ceiling, opening up space through the side body. Knowing that when we come into these lateral stretches, it's an opportunity for us to let go of some of the things that aren't serving us. So thinking about the things that you're carrying around at the moment that might be unhelpful, and imagining them like blankets sliding down the side of the body, letting go of some of this. Return to center again when you're ready. And then let's move to the other side. We're going to hold here for a little bit as well. This time drawing the right hip down, lifting the right ribs high, opening up space through the side body to let ama go, to let go of some of the things that aren't serving us. But before we can do that, we must acknowledge what it is that we're holding. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's a sense of grief, loss, sadness. When you're ready, come back to center again. And as you exhale, send your arms behind the body. Coming up onto the fingertips, lifting the heart now, opening through the throat, opening through the front of the chest. Growing up and out of the pelvis, lengthening through the spine. And then when you're ready, raise your arms high, breathing in. And bring your hands to the heart now, placing one on top of the other, bringing the thumb tips together, pressing into the sternum, softening the shoulders. Soften the palate of the mouth, soften the jaw. And again, just tune in to your breathing and tuning in to the things that you might be holding, the weight that you might be carrying. Allowing yourself the opportunity to feel into this stuff. To not push it down, to not push it away, to meet it face to face. And in your own time now, let's come onto hands and knees, and we're going to set up in cat pose. And normally I would take my knee pad, but Ruby's pretty comfortable on it, so I'm going to let her keep the knee pad, but you might like something soft under your knees, unless your cat has taken yours as well. Okay, let's close the eyes now. And we're going to lengthen out through the spine, soften into the elbows, draw the belly into the backbone. Let's breathe in cat. As you exhale, move to cow pose, tucking the chin and tailbone under. Returning to cat again. This time lift your gaze, creating a little back bend. And then as you exhale, let's move to child's pose. Let all your breath go as you arrive in the shape. Returning to cat pose again, finding your neutral spine, breathing in. Exhale to cow, tucking the chin and tailbone under. Return to cat again, taking your time, breathing in richly and expansively. And then letting all of that breath go as you move to child's pose, nice and slow and smooth. Taking one more round. And as you arrive in your child's pose this time, let's settle in. We'll take the knees a little bit wider. You might bring your head down to your block or down to a cushion if you want to support your head with that. So finding whatever height in your block or in your cushion, or even bringing your head to a little stack of fists if you like. You just want to be able to let the spine relax in this shape. And to let the weight of your head fall into the third eye between and above the eyebrows. And when we're putting a little pressure on this spot, we are triggering the relaxation response in the body. So this is a really good position to remember if you have trouble calming down or sleeping. Putting a little bit of pressure at the third eye can be really helpful. Breathing into the back of the body, opening up space in the side ribs, in the back of the rib cage. Perhaps imagining blankets sitting on top of your body now in this position. And just sensing into what those layers might be, what emotions are weighing heavily like blankets on top of you right now. And as you meet each one, you might start to let it lift. Let it be folded and put by the side of your mat. Or maybe it's not quite time to take that off yet. You'll know. Let's walk the hands around towards the right side now. You can perhaps cradle your arms around each other and rest your head down on your forearm, or rest your head right down on the floor if that's comfortable for you, or again maybe on your block or your cushion. Just opening up the side body again. Breathing deeply, breathing freely. And then when you're ready, come back to center. And we'll walk the hands towards the other side now. Again, you might cradle your arms around each other, resting your head on your forearm, or take your head down to the floor or to your block. Not forcing, not pushing anything. Staying with your breath. Return back to center again when you're ready. And let's come back onto hands and knees again, finding our way back to cat pose. Just taking a few rounds, slowing the breath right down now. And really leaning into the pauses in your breathing. Those little moments of quiet and stillness when we're in the space between the movements of the breath, between activity, between motion. When you next come to cat pose, let's meet there. We'll breathe in here in cat. And then as you exhale, send your left leg down the back of the mat. Lift the leg up as you breathe in, and then bring your knee in towards your chest as you exhale, rounding the back. Inhale, sending that leg long again. And on your exhale, bringing the knee into the chest, rounding the back. Taking one more round now. And then let's send the leg long. We're going to flex the foot and push out through the heel, just evening up across the pelvis, bringing the neck in line with the spine, so you might want to change the direction of your gaze a little to help that along. And then lowering your foot to the floor now. We're going to walk the hands back towards your right knee and allow your right foot to sit directly under the right buttock. Walking your hands forward towards our pigeon pose. Now, you might want to just rest up on your forearms like this. You might even like to be a little elevated depending on how your spine is. Again, if you're using a block, you might bring your head to whatever edge of the block will support you, or to your cushion. Or even bring your head right down to the floor. However you're finding yourself in this shape, let's continue to be aware of allowing the head to fall into the third eye. Allowing the nervous system to settle right down. Opening the breath up into the back of the body. And again, having that visualization of the blankets of emotion that is sitting on top of your body right now. The layers of things that you're feeling. Acknowledging the texture, the weight, maybe even putting a color to each of these blankets of emotion. And as you acknowledge each one, you might choose to allow it to be lifted, to be folded, and to be put by the side of the mat. Or maybe it's not quite time for that. You know what you need. When you're ready, let's come right back up onto hands and knees again, back to cat pose. Take an inhalation in your cat. As you exhale, move to cow pose. Let's hang out here for a little bit. Just give your head and your neck a little movement, keeping the back rounded, softening into the elbows and the shoulders, so letting everything be nice and soft. And then finding your way back to cat again, breathing in. This time as you exhale, send your right leg down the back of the mat. Lift the leg up as you breathe in and bring your knee into the chest on exhale. Sending the leg long as you breathe in. Bringing your knee in as you exhale. Taking one more round. And then extend your leg long now. Let's hold in the shape. Flex the foot, pushing out through the heel. Taking a moment now to just play with the placement of the pelvis, trying to get a little more even across the pelvis. And then the neck comes in line with the spine and we lengthen right out. Release that foot to the floor when you're ready. And then let's walk the hands back towards your left knee this time, setting up for our pigeon pose on the other side. So you might find on this side you will use the block a little differently or your pillow a little differently. There's normally a little bit more give in one side of the body than the other. So just easing your way into the shape. And rather than letting the pelvis lose that sense of evenness, let's keep quite even between the two sides of the pelvis here. Breathing into the back of the body. And as you're resting in pigeon pose, having that visualization again of blankets of emotions sitting on top of you. Just inquiring within yourself as to what you might be ready to step away from. Perhaps the fire in the body brought to life by anger can be replaced by enthusiasm and drive towards positive projects, or maybe the sense of loneliness can be transformed into a commitment to building a stronger network or community around you. I don't know your situation, but perhaps some of the things that we're all holding can be transformed, that same energy, that same intensity that we're feeling can be transformed into things that serve us and that serve the people that we care about. Perhaps we're turning lemons into lemonade somehow by bringing our intention to this act. When you're ready, find your way back to cat pose again. Breathing in here in cat. And as you exhale, moving towards child's pose, but not quite arriving. Tucking the chin into the chest. Bring the body forward now and beyond cat pose, lifting the gaze. And then gliding back towards child's pose. Not quite arriving. Flowing between these two shapes. Just allowing the body to be in motion. And when you come back to child's pose this time, let's actually arrive in the shape. Take your knees wide again, bringing your head down to the floor or to your block. And taking the arms behind the body now, interlacing the hands and drawing the arms away from the body, opening up through the front of the chest. Breathing expansively into the side ribs. And then when you're ready, come onto your back now. Bending your knees and lifting the feet off the mat. Take your hands on top of your knees. We're going to just make some little circles, or you might like to rock from side to side. Just sensing into wherever you're feeling tension or tightness in the body right now. Letting all your senses just be in this movement. Being curious. Exploring without judgment about anything. Allowing yourself time to be in your own body and out of your head. Coming back to center when you're ready. We'll finish with Apanasana now, just to bring the body to evenness, sending the knees and the feet away as you breathe in. Begin your exhale and bring your knees into the chest. Sending the knees and the feet away, breathing in. And then bringing your knees into the chest as you exhale. Perhaps you want to open the arms up wide or overhead as you're taking this movement. Or maybe it's better today to keep things quite simple. You know what you need. Taking one more round of Apanasana. And then let's prepare for relaxation. So, highly recommend that you use your bolster today under your legs. If you're not using a bolster, a pillow will be just fine. And let's drop the knees open wide. Having some issues with my mat. Drop the knees open wide, and the bolster or the pillow will kind of be around the level of the knees to support you here. Bringing the soles of the feet together in our reclining butterfly pose. This is a really wonderful pose for when you're feeling quite flat, in that it brings a little bit of a sense of energizing into the body, a little vitality into the body, but still allowing you to be in this restful state. If you're using an eye pillow today, let's grab that as well. And I always like to suggest that when we're using eye pillows, we put a little more weight of the flax seeds or whatever is inside yours over the forehead, and just allow the fabric to rest over the eyes. And when we do this, it again taps into that third eye space and allows the nervous system to really settle right down. We'll rest one hand on the tummy, one hand on the heart. Letting go of the physical practice now. Letting go of guiding your breathing too. Perceiving that you're being breathed by a greater force, by life itself. That life is sustaining you. Sensing into those layers of blankets that are weighing you down right now. You might put names upon them, or you might just experience them as feeling sensations. You might put color to them, You might put texture to them. Or you might want to internally scream their name very loudly. Everything is allowable right now as we really come face to face with what we're feeling, what we're holding, and what is weighing on us. If it feels okay to do so, and if you're ready to do so, you might again start to see these blankets being lifted from you one by one and folded and placed to the side. And as this happens, notice the air against your skin. Notice other sensations, vibrancy at the ends of your toes and fingers. Noticing the warmth of your own body, where it's meeting your hands right now. Aware of these little piles of heavy blankets to the side of you. And then perhaps perceiving beautiful pieces of the lightest, finest silk being laid down upon you now. Floating down to cover your skin, soft and smooth and delicate. Knowing that each one of these is a blessing, perhaps directed at you from someone who cares about you, perhaps directed at you from life itself. Blessings, wisdom, courage, resilience. All of these layers of beautiful fine silk gently finding their way to rest upon you. And letting yourself remain here, wrapped up in layers of goodness. Allowing your body to relax, your mind to be soothed, your heart to be nourished. Tatsaviturvareniam Bhagodevasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yona Prachodayat Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvareniam Bhagodevasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yona Prachodayat Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvareniam Bhagodevasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yona Prachodayat Finding gratitude now for taking time today to invest in yourself, practicing yoga, doing something nourishing and restorative just for you, and finding gratitude for being in a healthy and agile body, able to breathe and move freely, to live where we do and be able to make all the choices you can about the life you want to live. Making little movements with your fingers and toes and deepening your breathing again when you're ready. Taking a long stretch through the body. And rolling over. Taking a few moments there to reorient. And then find your way to a comfortable seated position. And let's take the right hand to the heart and let the fingers of the left hand find the floor. Returning to just witnessing your breathing. The depth of your breath. The texture of your breath. The sound of your breathing. Acknowledging the earth underneath your fingertips, connected to earth, connected to your breath, to your own heartbeat, and acknowledging that you are being breathed by life itself, holding you, sustaining you, and supporting you through the difficult days and through the blissful days. Bringing the hands to the heart center now in Anjali Mudra. Taking a moment to send one of those beautiful pieces of silk, one of those blessings, one of those gifts to somebody who you know who could benefit from this. Wishing those blessings to be shared, to be accepted by the people who need them the most. And reminding yourself that you are swathed in silk right now. That you are wrapped up in blessings, in wisdom, and in love. Thank you for practicing with me today. Take care now. Namaste.